Something major just happened in Canada's express entry system. And if you're thinking about moving to Canada, or you're already waiting in the pool, you need to hear this right now. Because what IRCC just did in February 2026 is completely changing how express entry works. And it's going to directly affect your CRS score, your chances, and your timeline. In fact, just last week, we saw a draw happen at a CRS cutoff of 169. Yes, you heard that right, 169. That's the lowest CRS cutoff we have seen in over 5 years. So if you thought your score was too low to ever get an invitation, you might want to keep watching, because this video could be the one that changes everything for you. Alright, let's start from the top so everyone can follow along clearly. Express entry is basically Canada's main system for choosing who gets to become a permanent resident. Think of it like a big lineup. You get into the pool, you get a score called the CRS score, the comprehensive ranking system, and IRCC picks people from that pool in rounds called draws. The higher your score, the more likely you are to get picked. At least, that's how it used to work. But in 2026, things are changing in a very big way. And the changes that were just announced are some of the most significant we've seen in years. On February 18, 2026, the Canadian Minister of Immigration, Lina Metlej-Diab, officially announced the new express entry categories for 2026. Now, categories are special groups of workers that Canada really wants. When IRCC holds a category-based draw, only people in those specific occupations are eligible to receive invitations. And here's the exciting part. The CRS cutoff for category draws is usually much lower than the regular draws. So even if your overall CRS score isn't that high, if you work in one of these targeted fields, you could still get your invitation to apply for permanent residency. That's why these category announcements are such a big deal. So what are the new categories for 2026? Let's go through them one by one, because this is the part you really want to pay attention to. The first big new category is medical doctors with Canadian work experience. If you're a doctor who has already been working in Canada, whether you're a family physician, a surgeon, or a specialist, IRCC now has a special pathway just for you. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, the very first draw under this category happened at a CRS of just 169. That is historic. That tells us that Canada wants these doctors so badly that it's willing to invite people with very low scores just to keep them here. This is a game changer for healthcare workers. The second new category is researchers with Canadian work experience. This includes university professors, lecturers, and post-secondary teaching and research assistants. If you've been teaching at a Canadian university or doing research here, this is your lane. Canada is investing in its academic and innovation future, and IRCC wants skilled researchers to stay in the country permanently. The third new category is senior managers with Canadian work experience. This is huge. For years, senior executives working in Canada had almost no realistic path to permanent residency through express entry. Their CRS scores were too low because of age and other factors. But now, IRCC has created a dedicated stream for senior managers across finance, healthcare, construction, trade, broadcasting, and social services. This one was long overdue, and it's going to open doors for a lot of high-level professionals. The fourth new category is transport occupations. Canada is facing serious shortages in the aviation and transportation sector. This category includes air pilots, flight engineers, flying instructors, aircraft mechanics, aircraft inspectors, and even automotive and truck mechanics. Whether your experience is in the skies or on the road, Canada is calling for you. And the best part? Your work experience doesn't have to be from Canada. International experience counts for this one. The fifth new category is skilled military recruits. This is a brand new pathway for foreign military professionals who have been offered a job with the Canadian Armed Forces. To qualify, you need at least 10 years of continuous military service, a job offer from the Canadian Forces Recruiting Group, and a 2-year post-secondary credential. This one is very specific, but for those who qualify, it's a direct and clear path to Canadian permanent residency. Now, in addition to these 5 new categories, IRCC is also keeping several categories from 2025. These include French language proficiency, healthcare and social services, trade occupations, and education occupations. But here's something very important that a lot of people are missing. The work experience requirement for all of these renewed categories has been doubled. It used to be 6 months of work experience in the eligible occupation. Starting in 2026, you now need a minimum of 1 full year, 12 months, of work experience within the last 3 years. This is a big change because it makes fewer people eligible for these draws. And when fewer people are eligible, the CRS cutoff drops. That's just basic math. Smaller pool equals lower cutoff. Let's talk about what the actual numbers look like right now, because this is where things get really interesting. The most recent draw we saw was Draw 398, which happened on February 20th, 2026. It was a healthcare and social services category draw. IRCC issued 4,000 invitations, and the CRS cutoff was 467. Now compare that to mid-2025, when the healthcare category was pulling scores of around 504. That's a drop of about 37 points in just a few months. That's a massive movement. Before that, Draw 397 was the physicians with Canadian work experience draw, and the cutoff was 169. This is not a typo. 169. You don't need to be a genius to realize that a score of 169 is accessible to almost anyone in that occupation. For Canadian experience class draws, the picture is a little different. The CEC draws have been consistently high in 2026, sitting between 505 and 515. So if you're applying through the general CEC stream with a moderate score, the competition is still tough. But here's the thing. That's exactly why these category draws exist. They give you an alternative pathway. For French language draws, we've been seeing cutoffs between 379 and 416, with draw sizes as large as 8,500 invitations. So if you have strong French skills, this continues to be one of the best ways to get an invitation, especially with those large draw sizes. So what can we expect in March 2026? Based on the patterns we're seeing, immigration experts are predicting that IRCC will hold a provincial nominee program draw around March 2nd, followed by a CEC draw around March 3rd. Then, around March 16th, we should see a category-based draw, with another PNP draw expected around March 17th. Now, nothing is guaranteed. IRCC doesn't announce draws in advance, but based on the historical patterns, these are very reasonable predictions. If you're in a category-based occupation, the March 16th window is one to watch very closely. Now let's zoom out a little and look at the bigger picture. Why is Canada making all of these changes? It comes down to one thing. Canada needs workers, but it also needs the right workers. The country is dealing with labor shortages in very specific industries. Hospitals need more doctors and nurses. Construction sites need carpenters and plumbers. Airports need pilots and mechanics. Universities need researchers and professors. Canada can't afford to wait for these people to get high CRS scores through the general pool. So instead, it creates special lanes for them and brings them in faster. At the same time, Canada is reducing its overall immigration targets compared to the last few years. The 2026 to 2028 immigration levels plan actually pulls back from the very high numbers we saw in 2023 and 2024. So IRCC is doing something smart. It's being more selective, but more strategic. Fewer people overall, but more of the specific people that Canada's economy actually needs right now. Here's what this all means for you personally. If you're a healthcare worker, a skilled tradesperson, a researcher, a pilot, a mechanic, or a senior manager, and you've been feeling like the express entry system wasn't built for you, 2026 might be the year that changes your story. The CRS cutoffs for category draws are dropping, the pool is getting smaller because of tighter eligibility rules, and Canada is literally creating new pathways designed for your occupation. If your CRS score is not high enough for a CEC draw, don't lose hope. Check if you qualify for one of the 10 categories, especially if you have Canadian work experience as a doctor, researcher, or senior manager. Your score might not matter as much as you think, because with a cutoff of 169, almost anyone in that category can qualify. The most important thing you can do right now is make sure your Express Entry profile is up to date, your documents are ready, and you know exactly which category you fall under. Because when a draw happens, you only have 60 days to submit your application after receiving an invitation. You don't want to be scrambling when your moment comes. Canada's Express Entry system has never been more dynamic than it is right now. New categories, lower cutoffs, bigger draw sizes in some streams, everything is shifting. And the people who are watching closely, staying informed, and keeping their profiles updated are going to be the ones who get their invitation, while others are still wondering what happened. We are going to keep tracking every single draw that comes in March 2026, and we'll break it down for you as soon as it happens. So if you haven't subscribed yet, now is genuinely the best time to do it. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and you'll be the first to know the moment a new draw drops. Share this video with anyone you know who is waiting in the Express Entry pool, because this information could literally change their timeline. Now, before you go, I want to hear from you. Drop your answer in the comments right now. What is your current CRS score, and which category do you think you qualify for in 2026? Are you in healthcare, trades, French language, or maybe one of the new categories like transport or senior management? Let's get a conversation going because I read every single comment, and your situation might help someone else who's watching this video too. See you in the next one. This video is for informational and educational purposes only, and is based on publicly available updates from IRCC and official government sources as of the recording date. It is not legal, immigration, or financial advice. Immigration policies, CRS cutoff scores, and express entry draws can change at any time. Viewers are strongly encouraged to verify details directly on the official Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, website, or consult a licensed immigration consultant or lawyer before making any decisions. The channel is not affiliated with IRCC or the Government of Canada and cannot guarantee individual immigration outcomes.